very competitive. It already is, and it's going to get more and more competitive as the season goes on. So I think what's happening in the league right now up to this point speaks very highly of the league, and we have a ton of respect for a bunch of football teams coming up. As you said, right now I'm concerned about his Liberty, but it is a great league we're in.
Thanks. Mike, it looks like that's the last question for you. Thanks for your time this morning. Good luck against Liberty this weekend.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
We're working to get a hold of Coach Brock Stack of Illinois State. Illinois State looking to go 3-0, hosting Austin Peay this weekend. We're going to jump ahead in the schedule there because we do have Coach Bob Nielsen of Western Illinois with us. And we'll take Bob first and continue the effort to get Coach Stack on here momentarily. But at this time, let's welcome Coach Bob Nielsen of Western Illinois. Good morning, Coach.
Morning.
How are you?
Good, thanks.
Good. Let's take a look at Southern Illinois. What do you see when you look at the Salukis in preparation for Saturday's conference opener?
Well, really good football team. Well coached. I think they're playing really well. Very athletic defensive team, and very talented, skilled players. Outstanding running back. A team that has been playing really well, and like a lot of teams in the league have, and going to be a great challenge to go down there and play on Saturday.
Thank you, Coach. Let's go ahead and open it up now for some questions for you. Questions for Coach Bob Nielsen.
To ask Coach a question, press star 1. Our first question comes from Todd Heffernan of the Southern Illinois newspaper.
Can you just talk about your linebacker play, specifically with Kinsel and Ravelston and Luke so far this year?
They played really well. We played the first game of the year without Kevin, and he's kind of our defensive quarterback, and it was good to get him back. Defensively, we played a really good game against Wisconsin against the rush, and unfortunately just couldn't maintain that level of play in the second half. Thought we played a really good defensive game Saturday against Northwestern. I think all three of those guys had 9 or 10 tackles, that linebacker group, and that's the strength of our defense, and they're going to have to play really well, this week against another really good Russian football team in Southern Illinois, and a team that has really good balance, and I think that puts stress on your defense, and particularly on that linebacker group, because we have to play both and run in the pass.
And then your quarterback, I think, had 30 completions last week. What have you really challenged him to improve on this year?
The biggest thing is just directing the offense, and we rely on our quarterback to make a lot of play calls at the line of scrimmage and to check some things at the line of scrimmage. And honestly, I think the Northwestern game might have been his best football game. He really got us into a lot of good plays. Unfortunately, we turned the ball over. We turned the ball over 4 times against a Big Ten football team. You're going to get beat, and that's put us in some bad field position during the course of the day. But Trent played well. He's going to have to play well as we head into conference season.
And just finally, what has looked so different about SIU's defensive line or their front seven in the second half of the films that you've seen of their games?
I don't know if I've seen a lot of difference in the half. They're very athletic. I think one of the things that they do a great job of with their defensive coaches is they play a lot of people, and I think as a result they've got fresh guys playing at the end of games that are making plays, and when you've got that kind of depth that they have, that's a really good thing going into the grind that's going to be league play.
Thank you.
Our next question comes from Scott Holland of the McDonough County Voice.
Good morning, Coach.
Morning.
You mentioned Southern Illinois' depth. Through 4 games, I know something you really wanted to see was that improved depth of that second and third unit. How do you feel you guys stand when in that depth of that second and third unit as you enter conference play?
Oh, you always wish it was better. We've had a chance. Our schedule has been such that we had a couple of games where we got a chance to play a lot of players with the wins over Valparaiso and Drake. The Big Ten games, we probably didn't play as many. It's one of the things we talked about this week, that we've got some younger guys that we need to find ways to get a few more reps going into the conference schedule, because you've got to build high-level experience with those younger guys, and so that's going to be something that you're going to see more so hopefully over the next couple of weeks as we get some guys in for, even if it's a handful of plays here and there, that help build their experience level with our very young football team.
Coach, thank you very much.
Bob, that was your final question. Good luck in your game against Southern Illinois this coming weekend.
Thank you.
Thank you for your time. Appreciate it. Let's go next to Normal, Illinois. We were unable to get a hold of Coach Speck, but we do have a very good sub for the assistant head coach, defensive coordinator, Spence Novetsky. Good morning, Coach. Coach Nowinski, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you now.
Hey, how are you?
I'm doing wonderful, thank you.
Great. Thanks for joining us today. Brock had a conflict he couldn't get on, but talk a little bit about Austin P for us, preview the game for us, and then we'll open it up for questions from the media for you.
Austin P is a Ohio Valley opponent, and we're very excited about playing them this week. We've had 2 byes in the last 4 weeks, so our team is, we feel, is rested and ready to participate in the game. They're a team that, multiple offensively, multiple offensive groupings, highly skilled. They have kind of cycled through with several different quarterbacks, but we feel that their running back is a young man that runs very hard, has great vision, is a physical runner, wide receivers, bigger athletes that run pretty well. I just think right now offensively that they're trying to get comfortable with the picture of the game. They're trying to find a quarterback, and last week versus Eastern Illinois, they seemed to find a young man that was a freshman, and he did quite well against them in the second half.
Thank you, Coach. Let's now open it up for questions from the media for Coach Spence Nowinski.
To ask Coach a question, press star 1 on your telephone keypad. Our first question comes from Randy Reinhardt of the Bloomington Pantograph.
Morning, Spence. Good morning. Your defensive line, the group you work really closely with, there were some question marks coming into the season without a whole lot of experience there. How would you grade what those guys have done so far?
Ray, I think they're a work in progress, and they've been up to the challenge each week of improving. Our battle cry as a defense has been improvement daily. If we can go out and work on the little things, our footwork, our pad level, our hand placement, and as well play at a high effort level, we'll be a competitive group as the season goes on. But it's our main focus is us, not necessarily who we're playing, who our opponent is, but our opponent, right now is us each day. And if we can continue to find that improvement, to continue to work at a high level, we'll be
us as the season unfolds.
Okay, thank you.
Again, to ask a question, press star 1.
Coach, looks like that's it for you. Thank you for subbing for Coach Stack today. Appreciate it.
Thank you. Have a good day.
Good luck this weekend. Bye. All right, bye-bye. We do have Coach Dale Lennon of Southern Illinois with us, as mentioned before. Southern opens up their conference schedule with Western Illinois this Saturday at 6 o'clock in Carbondale. Good morning, Dale.
Good morning, Mike.
How are you?
I'm doing well.
Good. Well, let's talk about the Western. What do you see when you look at them? They've had 2 games against FBS opponents and 2 games against Pioneer Football League teams. They won the latter 2, but talk about the Western as they come to town this weekend.
Well, they're a good football team, and you can see the level of improvement. They gave us a big scare last year with a young team, and now that team has matured, and they're still young, but they're playing some pretty good football, and to watch them play as well as they did against Wisconsin and Northwestern, was very impressive, and then they pretty much handled the 2 games that they were supposed to handle. So, both sides of the ball, they have playmakers. Very impressed with their quarterback, Lavelle. He's playing the game the way you want your quarterback to play it, especially with the offensive system that they have. And defensively, they're good. They're really playing some solid, sound defense, and they make you work for everything you get. So, it's a big challenge for us.
Thank you, Coach. Let's go ahead and get to the questions from the media for you. Questions for Coach Dale Lennon from the media.
To ask Coach a question, press star 1. Our first question comes from Linda Scranton of the Springfield News Leader.
Yeah, hi, Coach. When you look at the league collectively and what it's done so far against non-conference teams, what kind of message do you think that maybe sends to the folks who make playoff decisions later on?
Well, it has to be sending a strong message right now, just for the league to do as well as the league has done with the non-conference schedule. I really believe that you got all 10 teams at a level that, is worthy of a top 25 consideration. It's not deserving of that type of consideration. So the message has been sent. It'll be interesting to see how the league battles go down and how everything kind of sorts itself out. But I just don't know how you can send much of a stronger message than the success that the league's had.
Thank you.
Our next question comes from Scott Holland of the Montgomery County Voice.
Good morning, Coach.
What's that?
What have you seen from Western Illinois' defense so far that you feel like you'd like to see your offense do to attack them, or how do you feel you guys can beat that defense that has been so tough against the run this year?
Well, they're sound. That's the thing that I'm very impressed with their defensive schemes. They know what they're doing, and they're just not going to give you anything easy. So offensively, you got to be patient. You have to take what you can get, and it's going to be a process. It's not something where you can expect just move the ball up and down the field or expect breakdowns where you're going to get quick scores here and there. It's going to be a battle. So that's where the challenge is offensively. I think it gets back to a game where field position is going to be very important, and just not giving up big plays for both teams. The more sound the defenses play, the more of a field position type game it's going to turn into.
Thank you, Coach.
Coach, last week, Michael Pruitt became the first tight end in league history to catch or surpass 2,000 career yards. Certainly he's had a wonderful career that'll continue on Sundays after this year, but talk about his contributions to your program.
Well, Michael, it's been fun watching him develop as a player, and he came in, showed us we redshirted him his first year, and we knew we had something special.
mature and develop as a tight end, where now he's really put the full picture together as far as the blocking skills, the receiving skills, the running good routes. He's drawing double team type concepts, and he's still finding ways to get open. So, it's been enjoyable as a coach just watching him develop over the past 4 years.
Yeah, thank you for your time this morning. Good luck against West Illinois this Saturday. Appreciate it.
Thanks, Mike.
All right, bye-bye. Joe Glenn of South Dakota is with us. The Coyotes off this week. It's the easiest week of the schedule for them this week with all the other games. 10 of 12 opponents this year are ranked or have been ranked for South Dakota. Good morning, Coach.
Morning, Mike.
Didn't mean to share that depressing news with you, but you do have a bye week in preparation for Southern Illinois. Talk about what you do this week and getting ready for your next opponent.
Well, it's just to get healthy. Everybody, mixed up a little bit, and everybody, meaning all teams, I think, are after you go about a month, and so I think we got a chance now to get some starters back, and maybe 4 or 5 guys that are in the mix will come back in that haven't played. One, our starting nose guard the last 2 years has had a virus, something like mononucleosis. They can't identify it, but his spleen is still swollen, and he hasn't played yet, and they're hoping that the swelling will go down so he can start playing Nick Jacobs, get him back. So yeah, I think it just happens at a good time for us. I don't think there's anything earth-shaking, but we get about 5 or 6 guys that could get real healthy again and be ready to go into conference play.
Coach, thank you. Let's go ahead and open up now for some questions. For your questions from the media for Coach Joe Glenn.
To ask Coach a question, press star 1. Our first question comes from Todd Hefferman at the Southern Illinois newspaper.
Hey, Coach, is there anything you tell us about Kevin Earle's progress? Is he on track for coming back in a couple of weeks still?
Yeah, I'm a coach, not a doctor, so I don't know exactly what the track is. They thought 6 or 7 weeks. So he can play again, and that's, optimistic. And I would say he's on track, but it probably won't happen yet, and we'll just have to see how it goes. He's starting to move it and work it, and he did take the cast off and go to Chicago and have it pinned and plated, and this was giving him a little more ability to move his hand while it healed his thumb. And so we just have to see. 6-7 weeks was from the Oregon game, so that's where we're at. We go 2 weeks without a game now, so kind of watch it and see what happens. I doubt if he'll be ready for Southern Illinois.
Well, just talk about how his replacement is done.
Well, Ryan Stager is his replacement. We went out to Montana, and we represented, but he didn't have as good a game as he would have liked. Had a couple interceptions, and therein lies the difference of the game. So we turned around and played Northern Arizona, and he played a much smarter game. When he didn't feel like the throw was there, he pulled it down and ran it, and he can run. He's a big, strong kid that's got some speed and his strength, and he rushed for over 100 yards against NAU and scored 2 touchdowns, threw a touchdown. So it didn't turn the ball over, and that's, what he can do for us. And was real happy with the way he quarterbacked our team to victory and protected the football and no turnovers on offense. So, and I think our defense had 3 picks from NAU. So in a fairly close game, there's the difference. And this time we were the winners, and our quarterback guarded the ball this time and really helped us out.
Thanks.
Our next question comes from Jeremy Halleck of the Yankton Media.
Joe, good morning.
Hi, Jeremy.
Do you think the league is sending a little message non-conference with some of the results and some of the records now against these other leagues?
A shot across the bow. Absolutely. I think we're undefeated lost to an FCS opponent, and that's the second time we've gone a couple time zones. West, went to Oregon, and turned around a week later, 2 weeks later, and went back to Montana, and those are all tough trips, and that we represented pretty good most of it. But that's the only game that I'm understanding that our conference has lost to an FCS opponent. And we didn't play all that good. So I'm saying we've got a really good conference. I think every coach now staring at the conference schedule for the next 8 games is, and we've already talked about, you're going to touch gloves and have a fist fight with every team in this league. They're all tough teams, all got good players, they're all well coached. I'm really impressed with our conference, and it'll be a fist fight, there's no doubt.
And then Jasper Sanders, any update with him with that little shoulder injury he had?
That was going to be fine. And he probably could have played in the second half of our game, but we had some other running backs that were doing all right, doing good, and sitting down, and he will be ready to go.
Okay, thanks, Joe.
Thank you.
Coach, looks like that was your final question. Thank you for your time this morning. Appreciate it.
Thank you very much.
See you, Coach. Let's welcome now to the phone Coach John Stiglmeyer of South Dakota State. The Jackrabbits also not playing this weekend in preparation for their conference opener at Illinois State on October 4th. Morning, Coach.
Morning, Mike.
First of all, congratulations on becoming the all-time wins leader at your school. And I know you don't place a lot of stock on your personal achievements, but certainly congratulations out to you.
I appreciate that, and as all coaches know, it takes a lot of people to win just one football game, so my wife and I have been thoroughly blessed to be part of this whole thing.
Well, let's talk about the bye week and what you do this week, and certainly getting healthy is one of those things, but getting ready for Illinois State. They play this weekend against Austin Peay.
Yeah, we have 3 goals, same goals we had going into fall camp. That's to be healthy, happy, and hungry, and not hungry for food, but hungry to play best football. We really haven't done that, and we have a high standard here. So, looking at Illinois State tape, really good football team again, and so we're going to have to change our approach and change our performance, or it's going to be a long trip on the way home.
Thank you, Coach. Let's now get to the questions for you. Questions from the media for Coach John Stiglmeyer.
To ask Coach a question, press star 1. Our first question comes from Wendell Scranton of the Springfield News Leader.
You know, nobody in the league was happy the last 2 years with only 2 Valley teams getting in the playoffs. But with the non-conference performance so far, what sort of message do you think that's sending to the folks who make those decisions later on?
Well, the people that rank the teams, the sports writers and the coaches, surely are respecting the conference, and so if that's any indication, they're saying to those people in the end that, and there'll be some subjectivity, they're human beings. They're saying to them now, the Missouri Valley is tough. Look at the rankings, and the problem is we're going to play each other. We're all going to play each other, and ideally we get 3, maybe 4 teams in, but the stars have to align for that, because there's a lot of good teams out there. You can't just rely on your league to make the statement. So I think it's the rankings right now that are making the statement that we deserve a shot in the end.
Thank you.
Our next question comes from Terry Vanderbeck of the August Leader Media.
Coach, you haven't played Illinois State in a few years. In that regard, it was nice having the bye leading up to that game to give you a little extra time to dig into how they haven't changed in that time.
Yeah, it is good. Football players and football coaches, Terry, are used to kind of cramming for a game. The mentality is you introduce it Monday, you get a couple of good practices Tuesday, Wednesday, you refine Thursday, and then you play. And so it's somewhat awkward, somewhat unusual, and different for our players. We're going to do more general stuff this week. As I mentioned earlier, get better as a football team, get better as football players, than we are going to do on Illinois State. We only have 2 games on them, and they were fairly easy. So really, we need to just get better as a team and then lock in more towards the end of the week.
Thanks.
Yep.
I think that was your final question. Thank you for your time. Good luck in your prep for Illinois State. We'll talk to you next week.
Sounds good. Thanks.
All right, thanks, Coach. Just a couple of minutes ahead of our scheduled time with Coach Chris Kleiman of North Dakota State, but we do have Chris on the line. The Bison are 4-0 coming off of a win against third-ranked Montana and off before playing Western Illinois on the 4th of October in the Missouri Valley Football Conference game of the week. Morning, Coach.
Hello?
Chris, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you, Mike. Thank you.
Good morning. How are you?
I'm doing great.
Well, like many of our coaches that are off this week in terms of getting ready and getting healthy, that seems to be the theme. I'm assuming that's what's going on in Florida as you get ready for Western Illinois in 2 weeks.
Yes, it is. Obviously, we need to get a few guys back, and we're down a few guys just like everybody else, and so we'll hope to get some of those guys healed up in another week. But we've got to shore up some of the deficiencies that we've had on both sides of the ball, offensively and defensively. We've got to iron some things out that we need to get better at, and then we'll focus a lot on our special teams, which need some work. And so, similar to listening to a couple of coaches, we need to focus on our football team to get us better for the long haul, because we're going to have 8 great football games against what obviously is turning out to be a dynamite league this year.
Coach, thank you for that. Let's go ahead and open it up now for some questions for you from the media. Questions for Coach Chris Kleiman.
If you'd like to ask a question during this time, simply press star, then the number 1 on your telephone keypad. Your first question comes from the line of Wendell Scranton with Springfield News.
Been in the league for a while as an assistant at a couple of places, but compare the league this year from what you've seen so far to the past. Is this the strongest, or is it close to the strongest you've seen it?
Well, it's definitely close to the strongest team. You just look at the records with our non-conference games and 20-1 and beating a few FBS teams, but just playing so well. I'm so impressed, and I've told him this with Coach Allen and the wins that he's had on the road in 2 tough environments at Northwestern State and Central Arkansas. I'm really happy for their starts, and you just look across the landscape. We're beating a lot of teams that come from conferences that have had more playoff participants than us, whether it's the Southland or the Big Sky, and it's something that we hope builds our resume come late November.
Great, thank you.
You bet.
Your next question comes from the line of Todd Hefferman with Southern Illinois newspaper.
Hey, Coach, certainly the league is expecting to be another tough race, and even the Bison, people forget, lost a game in the league 2 years ago and 3 years ago. But your winning streak, do you think it raises the stakes for all the other teams in the league?
Well, I think every game in our league raises the stakes, just simply because you got to have your A game or you're going to get knocked off in this league. We have a routine that we go through, so we try not to talk about some of those things with the streak. I think it gets brought up in the media probably more than it does around our office or around our football team. But we know that in every game that we go into, people are going to have their best shot with the Bison, and Weber State, we went there and they had a packed house, and they'd only been averaging about 7,000 or 8,000, and sure enough, there was 15,000 people there, and we had a dogfight. So some of our non-conference wins, I think, will help us going on to some really tough road trips. But our league's so good this year that we all know, and we've all been in the league long enough that anybody can beat anybody on any given Saturday.
Thanks.
Coach, looks like that's it for you. Thank you for your time this morning. Appreciate it.
Thanks, Mike.
All right. And we are way ahead of schedule, but we do have Coach Terry Allen of Missouri State with us, so we're going to go ahead and forge ahead and welcome TA to the line. Morning, Coach.
Thanks, Mike. How you doing?
Good. A lot of good news from Springfield. The Bears are 3-1, nationally ranked again, and 3-1 with 3 road games, including an FBS opponent, so excellent start for your program.
Yeah, Yeah, it's exciting, Mike. The only problem is we broke into the top 25, and there's 6 teams from our league that are ahead of us. It's just it's a great league, and we know we're going to have 8 battles ahead of us, and just looking forward to having the week off and getting ready for Youngstown.
And both teams with the week off this weekend, and talk about what you do this week. The general theme from coaches has been get healthy, get better, and focus on yourself. But assuming that's what's going on in Springfield.
You got it. Everybody likes it to have a bye this time of year going into league competition. Gives you a chance to heal up a little bit, get back to some basic fundamental work, and then start peeking at the Penguins.
Let's open it up now for some questions for you. Questions from the media for Coach Terry Allen.
To ask Coach a question, press star 1. Our first question comes from Todd Hefferman of the Southern Illinois newspaper.
Hey, Coach, how well do you think your non-conference has prepared you for the league race?
Well, we've had to go on the road. I think it's going to help us down the road. There's no question about that. We played some pretty good football teams at their place, so I think it'll help us. But nothing really prepares you for the Valley because it's a real test.
Was that a focus when you put this schedule together? A couple years in advance, but
well, you never know. You take what you get in some of those cases, but we were just fortunate to survive it. We're fortunate to win last week, but you just get ready to go.
And what do you think you learned about your guys for the comeback they had last week and the way they won it?
Well, we've had to do it twice on the road, so they've got a lot of resilience and they've got a lot of confidence and faith, which is a good thing to have in our league.
And if I can ask you, Clay Harbor played for you, and Pruitt has just passed him and is the exact same size. Any similarities between those two guys, how they play?
Oh, I think there's a ton of similarities. We tried our best to recruit him because we thought he could be the next Clay Harbor. Unfortunately, he's the next Clay Harbor, but he's at Southern.
Thanks.
Our next question comes from Memo Scranton of the Springfield News Leader.
When you look at what the league has done collectively in non-conference, what kind of message do you think that sends to the people who will make the decisions in November?
Well, I hope it sends a really good message. It's an incredible performance. 20-1, and the only loss being at Montana in an 8-point ball game with South Dakota. I think it really paves the way for us to get the number of teams that we finally deserve into the playoffs.
And for you guys to pitch in and do it this year after having some struggles in non-conference, pretty gratifying?
Yeah, Linda, we said all along, we were the demise for the league and only getting only 2 teams in a couple times because we lost those non-conference games and then we beat some people in the league that knocked them out of the playoffs. So we feel better about holding up our end of the bargain.
All right, thanks.
Mm-hmm.
Coach, looks like that's it. We appreciate your time this morning. Good luck in your preparation for next week's game.
Thanks, Mike. Have a good one.
Thanks, Dave. This does wrap up our weekly call. Thanks for your participation. You can disconnect at